We're on a mission from God.
And now for something completely different.
Let's get ready to rumble! Yeah, baby, yeah!
This is Pastor Jolly, John Lekumsky from St. Paul's Lutheran Church in New Athens, Illinois, and Trinity Lutheran Church in Darmstadt, Illinois. And right next to me, I have my bosom buddy, my good friend, my co-host for what now, 50, 60 years now.
At least.
Matt Youngblood Clark. And where are you from, Matt?
Thanks, John. I am from Ascension Lutheran Church in beautiful South St. Louis.
That's right. You just have one church.
I know.
Where's the other church?
You keep rubbing it in. You've got two churches. I've only got one.
Yes, but yours is in beautiful South St. Louis. So,
That's true.
And mine's in New Athens and Darmstadt, which they have their beauty. Every place has its beauty of its own. So here's the problem, Matt. Here's the problem. It's 2018.
Yes.
Our writers are back in school.
I know.
We don't have our writers anymore. And it's hard to get good jokes in St. Louis this time of the year. Now we had some beautiful weather the last week. There might have been a few jokes poking their heads up through the ground, but for the most part, the joke trees are all bare. The joke fields have not opened up yet. But thanks to my father-in-law, who lives in beautiful Florida,
Sunny Florida.
Yeah. So Jerry calls and says, "John, it's so cold down here. How cold is it, Jerry? 60 degrees," he says.
Yeah. Don't rub it in, Jerry.
That's right. As we were, negative 10 or something like that,
yeah.
I remember. So Jerry has sent us some nice, fresh Florida jokes, and we're going to share them with you now. And thank you, Jerry. You had a couple you picked out.
Well, I just want to remind our listeners, you are listening to Wrestling with the Basics.
Right.
Well, one, because maybe we didn't announce it, but two, because these are a higher caliber than what they're used to hearing here on Wrestling with the Basics. So,
right.
so no, don't change stations. This is it. This is KFUO. Stay tuned.
They've stumbled across another show. All right,
here we go. Fresh from Florida. I find it ironic that the colors red, white, and blue stand for freedom until they're flashing behind you.
And do I know that experience? Not lately, thank heavens. I've been much better in my old age than I was when I was your age, Matt. So, by the way, do you get a lot of tickets, Matt, or are you a pretty good driver?
I'm a pretty good driver.
Oh, okay.
It's been a few years, yeah.
Has it? Okay,
Yeah.
because it took me a while to learn that if you go fast, police will pull you over.
That little speed limit thing.
Yeah,
right?
well, I guess I didn't draw that connection at first, but then that's why I'm getting pulled over. So anyway, another one. You got another one?
Yeah, sure. Money talks, but all mine ever says is goodbye.
Again. It's so true, but it's still funny. So the ones I liked is, you're not fat, you're just easier to see. There's a comforting word for all of those who gained all those pounds over the holidays. That's not a problem. You're just easier to see. And then finally, did you know that dolphins are so smart that within a few weeks of captivity, they can train people to stand on the very edge of the pool and throw them fish?
I like that one.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, that reminds me of another one. If aliens would look down and they'd see us walking our dogs and we're the ones that is picking up the poop, what would the aliens think? Who's really in charge here?
Who's in charge around here? Who's ruling who?
All right. So thank you, Jerry. Keep that fresh stuff coming here until our writers get out of school and it starts to warm up. We're doing the Old Testament. And you had this super neat story you shared with us the last couple of weeks about Daniel in the lion's den. And now I want to share with you a story about Moses.
All right, good.
And in fact, I'm trying to think when this happens. Let's read the story. Because what's neat about this story, if there's anything good that comes out of this, Matt, it is purely a gift of God. Because when I read this story originally, I didn't really know what was going on. And then all of a sudden, boom, it started to make perfect sense to me. Well, can we do the whole story? And then we'll go back and talk about it?
Sounds like a plan.
That's not our usual pattern, but I think it might be helpful in this case. So if you wouldn't mind reading, Matt, verses 12 to the end of the chapter. Chapter 33 of Exodus for those who are following along at home.
All right, very good. Here we go. Moses said to the Lord, "See, you say to me, 'Bring up this people,' but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, 'I know you by name,' and you have also found favor in my sight. Now therefore, if I have found favor in your sight, please show me now your ways, that I may know you in order to find favor in your sight. Consider too that this nation is your people." And he said, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." And he said to him, "If your presence will not go with me, do not bring us up from here. For how shall it be known that I have found favor in your sight, and I your people? Is it not in your going with us, so that we are distinct, I and your people, from every other people on the face of the earth?" And the Lord said to Moses, "This very thing that you have spoken I will do, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name." Moses said, "Please show me your glory."
I changed my mind. Let's stop there.
Okay.
Let's stop there. Have you ever dealt with this text before, Matt?
Yeah, well, it's kind of an interesting one. Yeah, I don't know if I've preached on it, but it's certainly one that I've come across and read in my own study of God's Word. And it's, the request that comes at the very end is really, I think, the thing that's kind of confounding is Moses' request, "Please show me your glory."
Right.
I don't know. Do we want to ask that or not, I wonder, as God's people?
And when we get to the end of our study, that comes the really strange thing that God has to say to us about the request to, because I think we all want to see glory, right?
Sure.
I want to see things happy. I want things go good. I want to see the success of my church. Those are all things of glory. And so God's answer to that will be kind of surprising. You're right. But I'd never preached on this text before, but then again, I need to confess that in my nearly 40 years of ministry, I seldom preached on the Old Testament. I always preached on the Gospels, because they were easier.
But there's such good stuff. I'm glad you're stretching yourself in the twilight of your ministry,
in
John.
my last years.
But that's, and just as I read this and as we read on, there's all those connections too, I think, to the New Testament. And just that it just bears witness that this is one unified story of God's love for us, centered in Christ. But certainly here, even in the Old Testament, we see that too.
Well, and the neat thing about the Old Testament is, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like the Old Testament, because they think, well, this is something strange, this is something different. But when you read it, it's like you say, man, it's us. It's the same things we're experiencing. Their circumstances are different, but then I think about my great-grandparents. They had to go outside to use the bathroom. Their circumstances were different than mine, too. I have indoor plumbing. They didn't. But we're still the same people, and we're still wrestling with the same issues. In fact, now I'm kind of, I feel unfair because I've had the insight, so I'm kind of imposing on you. But you know what the problem is here? What Moses says, please show me your ways, and this business about if your presence will not go with me. Do you know what the basis is? What's causing him to bring up those kind? Because I'm thinking, well, Moses, you're God's chosen guy. You led him out of the house, out of the land of Egypt. Why would you be questioning his presence? Why would you be want to know his ways?
Well, I think when we look at the context here, there's some cause for that. On the one hand, boy, God's been so faithful to Moses and the Israelites, and this is following the Exodus and following all the plagues and preserving his people. But then this is also following the giving of the Ten Commandments, and it's also following what happens as those Ten Commandments are being given at the foot of Mount Sinai then, too. As Moses is up on the mountain, the people on the bottom of the mountain are sinning, right? They're serving another god. They build this idol. And Moses and, more importantly, God are not happy with it.
So you've read this before, then, I gather.
I've seen the movie. You've seen it? It's called The Ten Commandments.
Should have watched
Charlton Heston's in it. It's great.
and I'm laughing because you're absolutely right. I read this and I was trying, what's he talking about? Know the way, your presence. But you're absolutely right. Once you see the context, that's exactly what the problem is, because he's experienced his first failure.
Yeah.
Up to this point, things are going cool. Everything's going the way that he wants. And now all of a sudden, the people are bowing down and worshiping golden calves, and which is a rejection of him and God. And in fact, here's what really bothered him. In the first part of chapter 33, this is what God said. Now you pretend you're Moses and you're the leader of the Israelites. And you know what you got ahead of you. You got to go to the promised land. And Moses says this to you. He says, "Depart from here, you and the people whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt, to the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to your offspring I will give it." Okay, so far, so good. All right, that's what you said. Yep. I will send an angel before you, and will drive out the Canaanites and so on and so forth. So, all right, again, all right, we're going to have an angel to lead us. But then listen to this, Matt. But I will not go up among you, lest I consume you on the way, for you are a stiff-necked people. Yeah, so that's the problem.
Yeah.
Now you're not going to go with us, God? What's the deal? Understandable, because, the children of Israel have broken the number one commandment, right? And I told them, this is mean, thou shalt have no other gods. It means don't make any graven images. And they turned around and did exactly that. But really, where am I at now? Well, okay, here's what I want to do. I'll be Moses, you be God. Okay? We'll do a little, this is totally impromptu. So if anything good comes out of this, you have to say,
Some radio theater.
Yeah, but it's truly the blessing of the Lord. Because we don't. So I'm Moses,
Okay.
so I'm coming to you, God. And say, see, you say to me, bring up this people. All right, so I understand that. I understand what my job is. But you've not let me know whom you will send with me. So you say something about an angel, but what are you talking about? What angel are you talking about? I don't know what that's all about. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and I've also found favor in my sight. Well, okay, if that's true, you tell me that you love me, that I have favor, but I want to know what the plan is. Show me your ways so that I can know you have favor in my sight. See, you've left me out here. You say you're not going to be with us. What am I supposed to do, Lord? So you got an answer for me, Lord?
Well, the Lord, I'm trying to be God here.
Okay, all
it's
right.
not easy to be God.
It isn't
John.
easy.
Cut me some slack, all right?
Although we try it every day, don't we? But it's not easy. Okay, go ahead.
The people are a stiff-necked people. If I was even among them for a single moment, I would consume them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I understand that. And in fact, that's happened. There's been great wrath. People have died. This whole worshiping at the thing wasn't just something God just kind of blew off. You don't blatantly defy God without having some upshot from there. And so, yeah, there's been great wrath and punishment. That's my problem, Lord. So what are we going to do now?
Well, you have to see my glory. You can't see my face and live.
Well, no. You're jumping the gun. You're jumping. Play along with me. What does the Lord say to him after he says that to him in verse 13 about show me your ways? What's the immediate answer?
Let's see.
Verse 14. I'm sorry. I should have informed Matt what we were doing here. We're just going through the text. I'm sorry, Matt.
My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest.
So what's that mean to me now as Moses? What are you saying to me, God? What are you saying to you? What's that mean?
Yeah. Well, his presence, as we'll see in the verses that follow, his presence, his visible presence in the cloud.
Okay.
By day, fire by night, and that pillar of cloud that's there in the tent of meeting as Moses does talk to God. So God does end up going with the people.
Okay, so this whole business about you're not being, what was his word? I will not go up among you. You're simply saying, no, you're not going to come with all your wrath and punishment, but you will still be with us. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay. What else did you say you were going to do for me?
Let's see. What else am I going to do for you?
Presence
go with you. Your presence. Be distinct from the other people of the earth too.
No. Now you're back to what I'm going to say to you.
It's be a whole lot easier.
I know.
If we had a script.
If we had a script. Rest. I believe that's what you said, wasn't it? That you were going to give me rest.
Oh yeah, rest.
Yeah. So what's that all about?
Well, finally, rest when you get to the promised land itself.
All right.
It's going to be a few years, but
we're
eventual rest.
All right. Yeah. Anything more than that to the promise of rest, you think?
Let's see. Be gracious. The Lord be gracious.
No, you're jumping ahead. I'm still wrestling with rest. That's what I'm asking you, dear Lord and Pastor.
Yeah.
What does it mean that I have rest?
Sure, rest from the enemies, but also rest in God's presence itself.
Oh, see, I hadn't even thought about that. That's why I'm asking you. So the very no, seriously, no. See, I hadn't even gone that way, Matt. But you're right. So the very fact that I'm with God, I can kind of relax a little bit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't need to put the whole pressure on me that it's all about me getting the job done and everything.
Yeah. Well, I go back to the New Testament too. I will give you rest. That promise that Jesus has.
So this is a Jesus word as well as what you're telling me?
Yeah, especially I think when it talks about the rest and God's presence that gives that rest. Sure.
Okay, so I'm working through this in my mind, and just what you said. All right, of course, I'm sorry, Matt. I also thought about eternal rest as well, the heaven and all
Oh,
that
sure,
stuff coming
sure.
up too.
Well, yeah, I think the promised land, that connection, sure.
And I just thought, and I really do it seriously because I hadn't thought about that. It's not necessarily a future thing; it's a present thing. I can rest now because God's with me here. Even as you and I are wrestling with this text here, it's okay. Just be cool. Just be relaxed. God's with us. Whatever message needs to get out, he'll
I
get
sure
out.
hope so.
I sure hope so.
After that little
Sorry.
piece of theater.
We need to rehearse. Well, no, the theater's not over. The theater.
Oh, no.
No, because here, now just go with me. Go with the flow here.
You're the thespian here.
Well, no, but
Okay.
because my point is so I would
Yes.
think that would be enough. Wouldn't it be enough for you to have God say, Matt, I'm with you. Matt, trust me.
Yeah.
Just relax, rest. I've got it all taken care of. But it's not enough for Moses because Moses says, well, now if your presence will not go with me. So apparently Moses is saying, well, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Can you say it? But I'm not so sure. And if your presence will not go with me, then do not bring us up from here. For how shall it be known that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people? Is it not your going with us so that we are distinct, I and your people, from every other people in the face of the earth? So, Lord, I'm still wrestling here. I need something more than you just telling me that you're going to be with me and have rest. And so what does the Lord answer to me now?
Well, this very thing that you've spoken, I will do. For you have found favor in my sight. I know you by name.
So what does that mean?
Well, the Lord reassures Moses that he knows him. He knows him by name. Moses, and we think of even the way in which, God has worked in Moses' life from day one. And I'm going to be with you.
And I like that, Matt, the day one. Because, I'd say I hadn't thought of that either, but that's exactly, it's always been this way, Moses. Has there ever been a time that I wasn't there for you?
Yeah.
I love that, from day one. But that's all he says. He just says, Moses, what, do your kids ever wake up in the middle of the night because they're scared of the storm?
Yeah, every once in a while, yeah.
What do
especially
they
when
do?
you're younger.
Well, maybe they're having a nightmare or something like that. But I'm thinking particularly of a storm, and I'll tell you why I'm thinking of that. So what do you do as a father when they wake up in the middle of the night and they're, Dad,
Yeah, Mom, Dad. Well, then you go into them. What is it?
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, well, you comfort them. You
How?
give them a hug.
How?
Say, it's okay. I'm here.
Yeah. Do you calm
You're safe.
Do you calm the storm?
No. Can't do that.
Can't do that. So anyway, I was just thinking that because I had kids too. And so, I'm here. Trust me. Now, of course, does that make them stop crying right away?
Not necessarily.
Sometimes not. But there's nothing else you can do. You can't stop the storm. All you can do is just say, trust me, I'm here. I love you. I care for you. I will stay with you until you rest. When you fall asleep, I'll probably go back to bed. But now comes the thing that you wanted to get to. Because what is Moses' response to this? So God has said, Moses, I care for you. I will be present with you. I'll give you rest. What else do you want, Moses? And what does Moses say?
It says, please show me your glory.
See, and that's where it all starts to get to be a problem. Because there's really nothing else that God can do for you. Everyone listening to us now, all we can do for you is say, God loves you. God cares for you. He'll be present with you. He'll give you rest. He'll work it all out. There's nothing else I can tell you. I can't calm the storm. I can't take away the problems and the trials. We are incapable of doing that. And yet for us, it's not enough, isn't it? We want the glory. We want to see some evidence. We want to see some signs that this is true. Now you can read that passage you wanted to read from the very beginning. Okay? You want to read it
This
now?
is the good part. But he's looking for proof, right? Some kind of proof.
I want some proof.
Yeah. And he said, and here's God speaking, I will make all my goodness pass before you and will proclaim before you my name, the Lord. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious and show mercy on whom I will show mercy. But, he said, and this is God again, you cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live. And the Lord said, behold, there is a place by me where you shall stand on the rock. And while my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock, and I will cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will take away my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen.
So I just love this story because I've been there. I've had the problems. I've had the failures. That's what Moses is dealing with. You have the worries. God simply comes back. He says, hey, don't worry, John. I'm with you. I'll give you rest. My presence is here. I love you. I favor you. I know you by name. And yet we still want something more. So you've dealt with this passage, obviously, before, Matt. You wanted to get at it. So how have you taken that, understood this stuff that God says, well, you can't actually see the glory. You can't see my face.
Yeah.
See my backside.
Well, I think it just emphasizes the difference between God and us, between the Creator and the creation, between God's holiness and us sinful people. Just like God would say, he would consume the people among them. Same deal with Moses. Moses, wonderful as a guy Moses is, and God knows his name and is going to be with him, all those things. And yet Moses is still a sinner, and Moses is imperfect. And in the presence of a perfect God, he can't stand to see that face of God.
Wow. Did you see the light bulb go on? Because I hadn't taken that angle, but you're right. It's almost like Moses said, but no, I can understand the children of Israel.
Yeah, but what about me, Lord? Can you show me your glory?
Yeah. But no, I can't show it, because no man can see me and live.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Moses included.
Wow. And that's where it's got to start, isn't it, Matt? With even the Jews, I as a pastor realize, no, we don't have an upper hand over our lay people. We know the Bible. We get the joy of sharing the gospel, but we're sinners too. We couldn't stand in the glory of God. We would die. We also have the curse of the wages of sin is death. So now what's this business about seeing the backside? Because I'm going to share with you something that I got from Luther. So this is not original with me. And in fact, until I actually had done this sermon, I'd never thought of it this way before. I'm just wondering how you interpreted seeing the backside of God.
Yeah, I think it gives them a glimpse. This glimpse of his glory. I kind of thought of the eclipse. We just had that solar eclipse.
Oh, yeah.
And when that eclipse is in its full force, and it's just, we cannot stand to look at it, right?
Literally.
I mean, literally.
That's right.
You have to have the special shades, and you're going to go blind, you'll burn your retinas out, all that. But here, if we had the full force of God's glory, oh my goodness, we wouldn't be able to stand it. But here, God, in his graciousness, just gives Moses a glimpse of that.
So here's what I propose we do. Because what time are we done? It's 24 minutes.
24 minutes.
All right. So we only
It might feel longer to our listeners, but it is 24 minutes.
It is only 24 minutes, honestly. Trust me. So let's come back to this whole backside thing. Let's make people wait.
All right.
And next week we'll share with them this wonderful insight. And I'll give you this much as a teaser. Luther applies this to the story of Joseph. You know the story of Joseph,
the
right?
coat of many colors guy?
Yeah, that guy. Sure. And so we'll show how seeing the backside fits into the story of Joseph. But before we do that, let's go back and read those verses you read there before he brings up this whole strange business about I'm going to put you in a cleft of a rock and you can't see me when I come by, but you'll see my backside. Because I think probably we do need to preface by saying, I will make all my goodness pass before you and will proclaim before you my name, the Lord, and I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. So when you come to the Lord and you're crying out, Lord, I want some signs, I want some evidence. It's not enough for me to hear you say that I am favored, that you're present with me. Honestly, the answer the Lord is going to give you is just that. Look, I'm gracious, I'm merciful. Trust me, I will do that.
Yeah.
I know you may not be able to comprehend it right now in the midst of your sorrows and your struggles, but that is a fact. And you'll see this. The time will come that you will see it. But for right now, that's what you got. You got my word, and my grace is sufficient for you, as he said to the Apostle Paul, who also wanted something more, who wanted to see him, the thorn in his flesh taken away. But sometimes that's not what God does. But the grace and mercy is there. Any final comment, Matt?
I think, having said that, I think, one way to put it is it's not so important what God looks like. It's more important who he is.
And
good question. Who is he? Well, what's his character? He's grace. He's mercy. He's ever present.
And we'll talk more next week about what it is, the backside, that he will allow us to see. God's blessings to everybody. This has been
Wrestling with the Basics.